This chapter is an introduction to military culture. It is essential for anyone working with the military or veteran population. If you have military service, you won't be too surprised by what you read. That said, there are probably a few things you may not be aware of. I decided to leave out a number of things that are important, but we don't have enough time to cover. This includes a review of each rank within each service. We will not be reviewing the pay structures either, but we will discuss the distinction between officers and enlisted personnel. Reminder, you are only required to read the specific text, not the extra boxes and side information not included in the text itself. I will provide some tables in this lecture that I think are important for you to know, but not in the book. The most important thing about this chapter is that it is the first to actually define what a veteran is. We will also try to see how the military impacts veterans in both positive and negative ways. While there is a lot of talk about the role of the military in things like suicide, PTSD, and aggressive behavior, we will try to contextualize all of this in the theory called life course sociology. The Millennium Cohort Study will provide some actual research findings that I think you should remember as you leave this class. I will briefly review them in this lecture, but your book will provide you with more details. I will focus on the information from the main text itself for this lecture. I can almost guarantee you will see something from this lecture in some quiz or test, but you will want to be familiar with all of the text in the chapter. This chapter utilizes life course sociology and does reference it in one way or another. The important thing to remember is the military is considered part of someone's life, and it impacts its participants just like any job or life event would. The argument is that the military, as an institution coming from the warrior culture, plays a particular important role in people's lives. If those theories are correct, it changes people in a deeper way than traditional jobs or other life events. What is really cool about this theory is that helps to show how some people can be more affected by life events than other people. What makes one person return from war with PTSD and not others? This theory can explain why. It depends on 4 key elements. Historical context. This element emphasizes how historical events and social changes impact individuals' life trajectories. For example, growing up during a war or economic depression can significantly influence one's opportunities and experiences. What if some people in the military don't experience anything profound? Well, it means that it will have less impact on them. Timing of life events. The timing of significant life events, like marriage, parenthood, or retirement, can affect an individual's development and life course. Early or late occurrences of these events can lead to different outcomes. If an event disrupts someone's life, changes the direction of their lives, positive or negative, it will have more of an impact. Linked lives, this concept highlights the interdependence of individuals' lives. Relationships with family, friends, and others can influence one's life course. How individuals are impacted by life events. For instance, a parent's job loss can affect a child's educational opportunities. If you are a parent going to war, your death can impact people. Alternatively, having a strong support network in the service can help us deal with the stresses of military service or the challenges of living with a disability or other such issues. Human agency. This element focuses on the choices and actions individuals take within the constraints of their social context. People actively shape their life course through decisions and actions, even though they are influenced by external factors. Someone can decide to embrace their veteran status, helping them cope with issues they are dealing with, while other veterans reject their veteran status and change the people they affiliate with. Your book also reviews the benefits and supports that military provides its members. The author divides these things into 2 categories, work and family-based. In terms of work-based things, the military provides a job and steady income at the right time in life. As young people turn 18, that fits nicely into the timeline of the average American becoming an adult. All new members of the military receive general training, which includes introduction to military culture, especially rank and language, usually some combat training and physical fitness. They then go into military occupational specialty, MOS, training. They also enter a subculture that includes units of other people going through similar training, which is associated with the concept of cohesion and social support, which help its members manage the stresses of military life. The military also provides tangible supports, including allowances for subsistence or food, and TRICARE for mental and physical health. Many service members also start their families while in service. The military is a huge boost to families. Many studies show that the military generally has younger but more stable families, probably because of the supports, both in the form or tangible resources, but also community support from other military families. I review these things because all of these things are unique to the military as a community. Some jobs in the civilian world may have elements of these things, but it is unusual to have all of them together. We will see that they all impact veterans in one way or another after leaving service. Veterans may leave the service, but service life does not always leave them. Finally, we will be defining the idea of veteran. On page 168, it says, a person who served in the active military, naval, air, or space service, and who was discharged or released therefrom under conditions other than dishonorable. Some service members retire, and that is typically after 20 years of service or more. If service members are injured in service, they may qualify for disability benefits. When you leave active duty, you receive a DD 214, a form that shows that you served and the condition of discharge. You should know that not everyone leaves service with an honorable discharge, saying that they left with acceptable service. An other than honorable discharge suggests that the service member left with a pattern of behavior that constitute a significant departure from the conduct expected of service members. Dishonorable is set aside for those who have major issues with their service, often involving violations of military rules. These designations can have huge impacts on a veteran's life course, impacting their ability to find civilian work and their own sense of self-worth. Finally, there are programs to help soldiers transition out of the service. One is the TAP, which helps soldiers become career-ready, but there are many others. There are also programs for service members to enter colleges as a way to develop a civilian career. You should watch the interview with Terry St. Peter and his work with student veterans. At the beginning, we reviewed the life course paradigm. It has been used to understand the role of military service in hundreds of studies. In short, the military does transform people. In many cases, it does help people in a positive way, helping them economically, socially, and personally. However, the life course is complex. In some cases, the military has a negative impact on people, especially if it exposes them to combat or something like assault or sexual assault. The Millennium Cohort study reviewed in this chapter provides some findings that also show up in other studies. First, you should know that people in the military are generally healthier than their civilian counterparts, mostly because people with poor health are not allowed in the military. That said, here are some important findings from the study. Mental health. Service members are more likely to drink heavily and smoke compared to civilians. Exposure to combat does increase the likeliness of PTSD among veterans. Physical health. Service members are generally healthier than civilians, however, and exposure to combat increases risks of obesity and heart disease. Tinnitus, my ugly friend, and hypertension are the most common problems among male soldiers and veterans, while depression and migraines are most common among female soldiers and veterans. In summary, this chapter introduces the definition of veteran and provides some ideas about how service life is carried into veterans' post-military civilian lives. In some cases, the military still supports veterans when they leave service through their fellowship with other service members, but also with the skills that they learn in service. But veterans also carry their military experience into their lives. In some cases, it is positive, bringing a strong sense of self-esteem from accomplishments, or it can be negative if they have experienced trauma in service. I would summarize my own reading of the research to show that the military has had a net positive impact on veterans' lives. And I can say with 100% certainty that the military will continue to impact these veterans their entire lives. This chapter is an introduction to military culture. It is essential for anyone working with the military or veteran population. If you have military service, you won't be too surprised by what you read. That said, there are probably a few things you may not be aware of. I decided to leave out a number of things that are important, but we don't have enough time to cover. This includes a review of each rank within each service. We will not be reviewing the pay structures either, but we will discuss the distinction between officers and enlisted personnel. Reminder, you are only required to read the specific text, not the extra boxes and side information not included in the text itself. I will provide some tables in this lecture that I think are important for you to know, but not in the book.